All right, Chris Speaks here today with an iconic legend in Alabama politics, Mayor Johnny Ford. He's had a historic career, I believe, an eight-term mayor, Tuskegee, founder of the World's Mayor Conference, the president, well, I forgot what the term for it is, now sitting on the city council, um, fixture, and served two terms in the Alabama House Representative, very distinguished career. Um, I'm honored to speak with you today. How are you, Mayor Ford?
Hey, Chris, season's greetings. We finally get together. How things?
Things couldn't be better. Just
Okay.
enjoying life. So,
Where are you actually?
I,
You're in
I,
Tallahassee?
no, sir, I live in Locust Fork, Alabama, in Blount County.
Where?
Locust Fork, Alabama, up there in Blount
Okay.
County, up in the
Okay.
northern part of the state.
And what area does your program cover? Are you on the internet?
So what I've got is I've got a blog that I write on, um, that website, and then I got a YouTube channel,
Okay.
and so we're growing it. To myself, a couple years ago, I had spinal stenosis got so bad that can't get around anymore. So they forced me to go on disability, which is something I hated to do, and I've always had a love for politics. So I got into interviewing a couple people, and
Okay.
like,
Let's
like
go with it.
I was friends with Bill Baxley, so I called Bill.
What about Bill Baxley? That's my
Uh,
good friend, the Attorney General.
I've known Bill since I was 8 years old, and I called Bill, and he was one of the first people to let me interview. And then
Wow.
Troy King did, and then it started kind of building. And it's got to the point now that I've had more and more people like yourself let me interview them, and
Right.
the website is actually fixing to be marketed into a all one of the state's online news journals. So I'll be able to start earning my living off that. So I've been very
Good.
fortunate for people like you to actually, because a lot of people wouldn't give me a chance to talk to them, and so it's built up, and things are good. Mayor, how about you? How's life treating you so far?
I am thankful to be alive and well and thankful to be able to continue to serve people. That's what I'm all about. Having served as mayor for a number of years, many years, and to have had an opportunity to serve in the legislature as well. And now on the city council, serving my district, District 2. What's wonderful also, it gives me a chance to serve the world as president and founder of the World Conference of Mayors. We just concluded a Zoom meeting this morning where we had mayors and other elected and appointed officials and leaders from countries from around the world in a Zoom call, from Nigeria to Haiti to Canada uh, to Taiwan, all over the world. So
Almost live.
yes, yes. So it's good to be able to serve. That's I'm a servant leader. Okay.
So, so tell me, Mayor, what's the difference between uh, being on the council as opposed to being the man in charge? I mean,
Well, I
with
chose not to I've served as mayor so many years. I decided to run for I decided to run for council. The difference between the mayor's position is the mayor is the chief administrative officer and um, heads the executive branch of government. Uh, we changed the form of government now where we have a city manager. So the mayor's position is now more honorary in that the mayor presides at the city council, but it is the city manager who actually runs the city.
okay,
So, so I chose to, instead of running for mayor again, to run for the city council. Now, the council's role is to make laws, to serve as the legislative branch of government. So after all of these years of running, I don't have to run the city anymore. We have a city manager that does that. I'm satisfied at making laws and making sure from a legislative standpoint The mayor's office is executive. The city council is legislative. That's the difference between the two. Ultimately, the buck stops here with the city council. The council has the ultimate say in terms of what happens in our great city. We are a proud city, as you know. We are Tuskegee, Alabama, the
Yeah.
home of Tuskegee University, the pride of the swift-growing South. And today in Macon County, we're celebrating a birthday, not a birthday, but we're celebrating Rosa Parks Day because this is the day in 1955 that Rosa
Oh,
Parks,
wow. Today's the day?
yes, this is the day, December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks sat down on the bus in Montgomery, meant that she was standing up for freedom everywhere and it started a movement. So we're celebrating that. The county has proclaimed it as a holiday. Of course, we also
Wow.
celebrate her actual birthday, which is January 4th, 1913. She was born here in Tuskegee, Alabama.
She was born in Tuskegee? I didn't realize that.
I know most of the world does not, but they'll know once we get a national holiday in honor of the mother of the civil rights movement. But we're
Yeah,
also, as you know, the home of the flying, fighting Tuskegee Airmen.
absolutely. Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I am
Uh,
proud to be a pilot taught by Chief Alfred Anderson,
no, really.
the first instructor for the Tuskegee Airmen, the 99th Pursuit Squadron. Chief Anderson told me when I became mayor of Tuskegee, he said, "You can't be mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, the home of the Tuskegee Airmen, and not fly. So I give you 1 month to get ready." He taught me, and I soloed before 8,000 witnesses as a pilot. So
Well,
we're the home of the Tuskegee Airmen. We're the home of the Tuskegee VA Hospital, which is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year, founded in 1923, a place for African American veterans to receive quality health care. We're also the land of Dr. Booker T. Washington. And tonight
absolutely.
I'll be in Montgomery in support of Booker T. Washington High School, which they're in the playoff against Catholic High School. It's an interesting situation for me. I have one son who graduated from Booker T. Washington, and the other son, John, who graduated from Catholic High. But I'll be so both schools are playing each other tonight. But I'll be pulling for Booker T. Washington. I have to because they're my. I'm so proud of Booker T. Washington. I'm proud of both schools, but I'm proud of Booker T. Washington in particular. That's a that's a school that Johnny built. We built that school with resources from Victoryland many years ago, and it's located here in our city. We're also the land of Dr. George Washington Carver, the
I
man
know.
who took the peanut and the sweet potato and the soybean and just revolutionized the agriculture economy of the whole South and the nation, George Washington Carver. So we are a proud and a prestigious people here in Tuskegee. We're proud of our history. We're excited about what we are doing here in the present. We have under construction a $130 million automobile plant that's going to be casting for the future. Sam Key America will be making parts and casting parts for the Hyundai plant, the various plants here in
Good
Alabama that
jobs.
automobile, whatever. But they are Kia and South Korea, and we're just proud to have that kind of development going on in the present. And of course, we're excited about our future. We're developing at Interstate exit 85, exit 38, and also Wire Road exit. We have development going on there for a travel center and service station and a new hotel and just a number of other outlets. So things are good in our city. And we're proud also to be the home of Lake Tuskegee Ford. I'm thankful that they named the Lake Tuskegee Ford in honor of our family, who grew up on the lake and have worked very hard to develop Lake Tuskegee as a tourist attraction. We're the home of Quality Life Health Center. We're the home of I could go on and on and on when you get me talking about Tuskegee, but let's talk about what you want to talk about, okay?
Okay. To be such, a small city of such a rich
History.
history there. One subject I wanted to ask you about,
Go.
did how do y'all honor or pay homage to the men that was put through the
Syphilis
Tuskegee
study.
Experiment?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Boy, you're on the ball. I forgot that one. We are also the home of the Tuskegee History Center, which when President Clinton gave the apology on behalf of America because it was the United States government that perpetuated, if you will, that horrible study when they found that syphilis could be cured by penicillin, yet they denied these men treatment just so that they could die. And they used their bodies for experiment to determine the effects of syphilis on the human body. I mean, just how cruel can you be? But the
It's such a
point
stain
is,
on our history.
yeah, so it was the federal government, not Tuskegee University,
Right.
that perpetuated that study. And in memory of those men who were heroes to us, we have the History Center, which
Okay.
tribute to all 700 of those men. Their names are
There were
listed there.
700 they
Yes,
infested with.
at least 700 men were in the study. And these were men, African American men, right here in Tuskegee, Alabama. That History Center captures the history of that study. Also, the history of the African American race, the European American race of the white history, the Native American race, and the red race as well. So black, red, white, all of the cultures are included in that history center of our area
Oh,
because
that's excellent.
it has been the white, the black, and the red citizens who have worked to build Tuskegee and Macon County into what it is today. And so we recognize the history in particular of those men in the syphilis study, but indeed we recognize the history and accomplishment of all of our heroes and sheroes from the white race, the black race, and the red race. Okay.
Well, why in particular do you know why Tuskegee was picked out of, just randomly picked to do that to those men? Why Tuskegee was just picked
why they selected Tuskegee? Because
yeah.
Tuskegee is a unique place, a special place, and having it done here, and it was actually mostly done in rural Macon County, occurred at Johnny Andrew Hospital. So they needed a hospital, and Tuskegee at that time had the first black owned and operated hospital in this section of Alabama, quite frankly. John A. Andrew Hospital was built by Booker T. Washington in 1913 upon the campus of Tuskegee University. So they may have needed a hospital. And so they conducted the study. As I said, the study was originated with and was performed by the United States federal government and the state health department, the U.S. federal Department of Health and the State Department of Health, and it took place at John A. Andrew Hospital here in Tuskegee, Alabama. So that's where you get the name Tuskegee.
Such a shame.
Okay, our role. Let me just say this: when I was running for mayor in 1972, that's when the story broke. all these years it had been, virtually kept a secret, actually. But when it became public knowledge, I took that as the foundation of my campaign. And I said, elect me mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, and never, no, never again will we allow the federal government, state government, or anyone else to come into our community and take advantage of our people. That was a pledge that I made, and I worked very hard to make sure that Tuskegee, that its people and its integrity and its reputation is protected from this day forward. And so
Amen.
that's our commitment. Okay.
Were any of the, I know syphilis takes a long time, was any of those men still living at that time when you got
In
elected mayor?
1972, oh yes, of course. It was Mr. Pollard. He came and told me about the study, and he then went to Attorney Fred Gray, and Fred Gray was a lawyer for the lawsuit that sued the United States federal government because of the wrong they had done to those men. So yes, they were alive then. At this point, none of the original men are still alive because the study took place when most of them were in the middle of their life back in the 30s. Okay,
Such a stain on our nation's history.
Sure, but thank God to Bill Clinton, my favorite president. I guess I got to know him well.
Yeah, man.
And President Carter too has been great, and we want to remember Mrs. Rosa Carter. She was a great, gracious lady. May she rest in peace. Okay,
Absolutely.
Mrs. Rosa Carter. Okay.
One question I wanted to ask you. You said a while ago, why, Rosa Parks basically, like set the match to the fire and started the civil rights movement. Why would we not have a national holiday honoring her for her? Because that set the path for, gay rights movement, every civil rights movement that you can go on down through there. Why?
Hey, Chris.
Yes,
for
sir.
your information and the information of your audience, we do not have a national holiday, a federal national holiday in honor of any lady, of any woman, any lady in the United States of America. So we can get this done, and Congresswoman Sewell is supporting it, the bill. And
no female? We don't have any females that have a national holiday, really?
No. So you can research that.
Wow, okay.
And bear me out. No. And so this will be the first national federal holiday in honor of a woman. And of course, Rosa Parks, the mother of the civil rights movement, is appropriate. Remember, she's the first lady, woman, African American, to be have a place in the United States federal capitol in Washington. Okay, I remember when she died. The Lion State, not only in the capital Montgomery, okay, where she was born in this state, but in the capital. And there's a memorial to her in the United States Capitol, but no federal holiday. Okay.
I believe I remember hearing the story. Something on they ordered her to get up, and she said she just thought to herself her feet was tired and she wasn't moving.
Yeah, well, she was tired physically, but more important than that, she was tired mentally and morally tired because that was not, that was a practice in Montgomery to treat Negroes that way at that time, to pay their money, go to the front of the bus, pay their money, and then get off the bus and then walk to the back of the bus, So she was morally.
You lived in that time. I mean, you've seen, lived in that time. What is it like today compared to then? I mean,
hey, Chris, we've come from a mighty long ways, but we still have a long ways to go.
Absolutely.
In this country, America, racism is still a major problem in this country. We've got sexism, racism, and other isms
Yeah.
that make us not a perfect nation. We strive to be a nation of equality and justice for all, but we have not gotten there yet, but we're still striving for that. I believe that we were all created equal by our Maker, and believe that I believe that we should all be treated equal and fair in this country. That's what makes America the home of the free and the home of the brave. That's what makes us a United States of America, the greatest nation on the face of the globe. That's what we strive for. Now, in terms of us realizing that in actuality, we're still striving toward that goal, okay?
I was raised in
Where?
a rural area,
Where?
Locust Fork, Alabama, North Alabama. It's all white. But I grew up in a
Say
house
you
where
near, so what, near where?
uh, you ever heard of Aniana?
Keep going. What? Give me another name.
Um, it's maybe
What's a
uh,
town? Big town near you?
uh, the biggest town near me is maybe Decatur, about 50
Yeah,
miles away.
Decatur. Right, right.
Uh,
Boy, Bill Dukes, my good friend, who was my best man. One of my best men when I was married on the floor of the Alabama legislature. Bill Dukes, the former mayor of Decatur. Great man.
okay. So, do you think that hatred is born, or is it something taught? Because my parents never used racial slurs. They never said anything like that around me.
Good for
So,
you.
I was not raised in a home that was taught racism or sexism. But people that I went to school with, you know, that they were. So, do you think that's taught to people, or people are just inherently born with that?
Oh, no, 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 not inherently born. No, no, no. People are taught racist ideas. Yeah,
Okay.
it's something that you're a victim of your environment, your surrounding, and your parents or whoever sometimes passes it on. But I think we're all born good, and we have an opportunity to be good and fair and just, and we're influenced as we grow, by our society and whatever. I don't think it's inherent. I would certainly hope not, and I don't think
Right.
so. No, no. Like in my neighborhood, I would now see just like you grew up in an all-white neighborhood. I grew up in an all-black neighborhood in the Lake community, in my community, and quite frankly, my dad used to say that all white folk were devils. I mean, yeah, that's just how he was a World War II veterans, the Reverend Charlie Ben Ford. He was actually my stepfather. He was my uncle. I was adopted by him and my mother, stepmother Tennessee Ford, at the age of 4. But the point is, we were taught that, but I soon grew out of that. I went to Knoxville College, which was an integrated college. Historic, it's an HBCU, but we were integrated.
Uh-huh.
Church college, the Presbyterian church supported our college, but I soon grew and realized that we all equal.
So,
And,
when you were one of the, I think I read,
Go ahead.
you were one of the first, uh, or maybe a long time, black mayors that was elected in a city over 10,000 people. Was that correct?
Yeah,
When you first,
10,000 actually. First, yeah, I was the first African American mayor of 10,000, 10,000 population, 10,000 in 1972. And Jay Cooper was actually elected a mayor of Pritchard, Alabama, a much larger city,
Mhm.
in 1972. Actually, there was 8 of us elected at that year. And the cities were Triana, Alabama, that's up north Alabama, not too far from you. If you're
What,
near Decatur,
did you say, what city did you
Triana,
say? I never
Triana.
heard, I never heard of that one.
Well, it's near the river there, on the river, Triana, Alabama. So you had
Okay.
Triana, It's yeah, going to Huntsville. It's near Huntsville, Triana.
Okay, I think I know where you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking
Triana.
about.
Yeah,
So,
going into Huntsville. When you're going into Huntsville on the right there, you get off the interstate, you go to Triana, Alabama.
so tell me
So yeah,
about the World's Conference of Mayors. How did you go about starting
well,
that? What?
first of all, let me give you history quickly, and I've got to go. I've got to
Okay, and
Montgomery.
I got one other question
I
for you
Booker
after that,
T.
and I'll let you go.
Washington. Yeah, and I Booker T. Washington. I tell you, a plane, and I've got another meeting in Montgomery too. But the point I'm stressing here is there were 8 of us elected in 1972.
Uh-huh.
The mayors of Triana, Roosevelt City, Brighton, Alabama, Hobson City, Alabama, Uniontown, Alabama, Tuskegee, Alabama, Pritchett, Alabama, McMullen, Alabama. So we were all elected. And George Waters was the governor at that time.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the My good friend Paul Cunningham, I used to live and work in New York, called me and said, "Hey, just Johnny, you just got elected. Could you get those 8 black mayors together? I'd like to do an interview, put you on the NBC Today show." I said, "No problem." I got on the phone, called them and said, "Hey, how would you guys like to be on the NBC Today show?" They said, "Wait, no problem. Let's do it." And so sure enough, we all met in Montgomery at WSFA TV, NBC. And for the first time, the nation saw 7 out of the 8 actually came, saw 7 African American mayors speak as one, because basically all of our small towns had the same problems. We needed money. We needed to develop our infrastructure. We needed to improve our housing. We needed recreation. We needed police protection, fire protection. We needed basically the same issues. And we felt that if we pooled our resources and our talents and came together and spoke not as one mayor dealing with Governor George Wallace, who at that particular time was not the governor he ended up being, a
Right.
governor that tried to serve all of the people. So we felt that we could do more. So I said to the mayors, I said, "Listen, I invited all of you all here. I'm paying for your lunch. So now that I've got you here, why don't we organize?" I was an organizer. That was my background with the United States Department of Justice to go into, and then in New York, that's what I did. I organized like President Obama. I was a community organizer. But anyway, I said, now that we're together, why don't we stay together? Why don't we organize an Alabama conference of black mayors so that we can speak as one voice, and we'll be able to get the attention not only of George Wallace, but President Nixon, who's the president of the United States, and we'll be able to be more powerful. They said, "Hey, let's do it." And so that was the idea. In
What
October
leadership?
1972, we
What a
organized
leader.
the Alabama Conference of Black Mayors, and we did not do it for a negative, not just we didn't do it just because we wanted to segregate ourselves, but we did it because as African American mayors and small city mayors, we could not join the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which is made up of the big city mayors. You had to be 30,000 or more. So that's why I organized the Alabama Conference of Black Mayors here in Tuskegee, Alabama, where we had the only Black-owned Holiday Inn in America. So that's where we met, in my town,
Some
at my
leadership.
at my Holiday Inn. And then after we organized the Alabama Conference, Charles Evers, the brother of Medgar Evers,
Oh, well, really?
yeah, yeah, Medgar Evers, the slain
Yeah,
civil
I
rights leader.
know. I know all about. Yeah, I've studied
Oh,
all the
right.
horrors of that
So
era.
Charles called me and said, "Hey, Johnny, because we had worked together for Senator Bobby Kennedy. We were there.
Really,
Uh,
you worked for Senator Kennedy?
yeah, was there the night that he was killed, and the
No, you were there in the
ambassador.
hotel for real?
I was Earl Gray's administrative assistant. I was the number 2 guy for Kennedy for Black America. But that's a long story. We won't
Oh
get into
God, I
that.
didn't know about
But
that.
Charles, but Charles Evans, who was very close to the Kennedy family, Charles ever say, hey, why don't I'll organize the Mississippi mayors. Why don't we get together? Where are we going to meet? I told him I'll host you here in Tuskegee because I had the only hotel, a Holiday Inn. So we hosted them at the Holiday Inn in Tuskegee, Alabama. And we brought together Black mayors from not only Mississippi, but from across the South. And at that meeting, we also invited Governor George Wallace. That was the first time in history that Governor George Wallace came to welcome Black mayors to the state of Alabama. And of course, that got international coverage and news, because by that time, Governor Wallace and I were good friends. Because when I needed help in my city, the governor had told me when I got elected, if you need any help, I didn't believe him at the time, but I had a crisis. I called him and he responded, and he and I became, he kept his word. And when a man keeps his word, I believe in him. And eventually I became the first Black elected official in America to support George Wallace, because George Wallace proved to me that he had put his past behind him, and now he wanted to be the governor of all of the people of Alabama, regardless of race, color, creed. So he and I worked very closely together, and the governor came and welcomed the Black mayors, and we organized the Alabama Conference of Black Mayors. That grew into the Southern Conference of Black Mayors, and we began to get so much money and results as a result of the Southern Conference of Mayors speaking as one voice, from President Nixon, President Ford, and President Carter, the mayors in Washington, and we had Tom Bradley in Los Angeles, Harold Washington in Chicago.
Man,
David,
that is so impressive. I can't be organizing all of this for 7 mayors.
Now listen to me. We had all these big city mayors. They said, they petitioned us and said, can we join you? Let's make this a national movement. And sure enough, Mayor Marion Barry, my friend, he was a mayor of Washington, D.C.
I remember that very well.
He and I were together in SNCC. We were civil rights workers together. I was at Knoxville College and he was at the University of Tennessee, UT. And we worked together in civil rights along with Jerry Meredith, who integrated the Mississippi, and just had him on the phone this morning, James Meredith, who's going to be at Alabama later today. But the point I'm stressing is the Alabama, the Southern became the National Conference of Black Mayors. And at one point, we had 6 out of the largest cities in America were headed by Black mayors who were members of my conference, of the conference that we organized. We had New York City, we had Philadelphia, we had Los Angeles, we had Chicago, we had Detroit, we had Philadelphia, okay, who were mayors, who were members. And you asked the question, well, you're the mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, a little old town. How could you be the president of all of these mayors of big cities? Well, Tuskegee may be a small town, but let me give you an example of how Tuskegee is represented. We were on a program in Detroit, and they introduced us. The lady said, I'm going to introduce you to mayors of 5 of the largest, most important cities in America. Tom Bradley of Los Angeles, California. Harold Washington, mayor of Chicago. Wilson Gould, the mayor of Philadelphia. David Dinkins, the mayor of New York. And Johnny Ford, the mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama. So I was the smallest town in the group, but just as recognized because of the history of Tuskegee. We've already talked about that. So it doesn't matter the size of your town. Every mayor is important. Every town is important. Every citizen is important. And that's what we must do to serve our people. So
I know you got to go, Mayor.
Let me just wrap up. And then finally, Tuskegee and Banjul, the Gambia, to finish this story. Banjul You've heard of Alex Haley and the story Roots, right? You heard about Roots, the movie and the story Roots, where Alex Haley traced his roots. Well, they wanted to have a sister city for a city in Africa. And so Tuskegee stepped up to the plate. And so in 1977, in a ceremony in New York City, Tuskegee, Alabama, twinned with Banjul, the Gambia, the ancestral home of Alex Haley. And we became the first predominantly African-American city to twin with an African city. And so they invited me to bring a delegation to the Gambia to look at their problems. And I brought a delegation from Tuskegee University, the dean of the School of Agriculture, the dean of the School of Business. We all went over and looked at their problem areas, came back, wrote it up to the USAID and the World Bank, and got funding to help improve that African country. And so the mayor of that city and yours truly, while walking along the coast of Africa in the morning, I turned to him and I said to him, you know, Mr. Mayor, it makes sense. African mayors and African-American mayors working together. You see, we were able to get money to help you develop your market. We were able to help you actually do something, not just talk, but get some money to help you improve your situation here in Africa. You know what, Mr. Mayor, why don't we organize a world conference of mayors, which will bring together mayors from Africa. And instead of just bringing together mayors from Africa and the US, why don't we invite mayors from around the world to join us? Because as people of color, we're not in the minority in the world. We constitute a part of the majority of the world. So let's invite mayors from Europe, from Taiwan, and from around the nation. And sure enough,
what a visionary.
In 1984, when I convened the meeting, and I was president of the National Conference of Black Mayors by then, when I convened the meeting, we had 21 ambassadors who brought their mayors from countries from around the world, from across Africa. We had 21 African ambassadors, but we had also a representation from Jamaica, from Haiti, from Taiwan. As a matter of fact, the mayor of Taipei, Taiwan, Jackson Young, was standing with me when we organized. He was one of the original members. But to make a long story short, we now have, and I'm honored to serve as the founding president of the World Conference of Mayors. As you see behind me, Conférence Mondiale des Maires, which
congratulations, Mayor.
We are the United Nations of cities,
that is
where
amazing.
we come together and we have 7 goals, which we call the 7 T's: trust, trade, tourism, technology transfer, twin cities, treasury, and training. And that's what we work toward in the World Conference of Mayors, bringing together not only mayors, but other elected and appointed officials.
What a leader.
Motivate them to go back, and the whole idea is to strengthen their capacity to lead their cities and to develop their cities and to become more effective servant leaders. Okay, so on that note, I have to go now to my.
Hey, can I ask you one question and I'll let you go? With my blog's fixing to be up as an online news journal. Is there any way I could get you to be a guest columnist from time to time and write an opinion piece?
Oh, I'd be honored to do so. Be honored to do so.
Thank you very much for your time, Mayor. It has been an honor talking to you today, and you enjoy the rest of your day, and have a good Christmas.
Okay, Chris, same to you. God bless. Okay.
God bless. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Great.